When pressures are high, farmers need seed performance that's just as strong. Hi, I'm Brownfield anchor reporter Megan Grebner, and welcome to our next episode of Cab Conversations. We're going to talk Channel VT4PRO with RNA technology today. With us is Daniel Lundeen from Illinois, Tyler Rugenhill from Nebraska, and Matt Nelson from Iowa. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Megan.
You.
Let's start first and just kind of a corn growing season update in your area. It's variability's kind of been the thing that I've heard from farmers and agronomists alike, regardless of where they are in the corn belt. Tyler, we'll start with you. How has the growing season been in your area?
It's been one where variability is going to be the catchphrase for growing season 2023. Probably the first year that crops have gotten worse driving west to east, and usually it's just the opposite of that. Dry lane crop really started to struggle late July, and then August rains just seemed to really shut off. So those acres have senesced very, very quickly and lost a lot of yield potential that way. Whereas we're going to have some good potential on our irrigated acres, but again, variability is going to be the key player in this. And how aggressive you manage that water and manage how many times you irrigate it and at the right times. So we've got some early season yield data that is just starting to come out. Guys are through silage for the most part and onto wet corn for feedlots, and we're seeing some good yields. But again, variability in field is going to be the key player on what that yield map says on climate as a whole.
We'll move east. Matt, how has the growing season been in Iowa?
Yeah, it's been stressful, right? We've been on the drought monitor almost all year. Here in central Iowa, where I cover, not quite as dry. We've been a little wetter, but in general, still stressful. Corn was really put through its paces in July, which is usually the most important month. So stress of pollination, moisture stress, and heat stress during that period, and had a little rain in early August, but then the stress continued. So we started the year off pretty nice, but really had poor weather to finish this crop through July and into August, and it's going to impact yield. It'll certainly be very variable. There are spots in my area where we're seeing some 250 bushel corn, but in general, we'll probably be closer to that 180 to 220 range for most of what I cover.
And across the river, Daniel in Illinois.
Yeah, we had some interesting planting windows. I'm between the Quad Cities and Peoria, and there was an early window there, second week of April, I believe, where we kind of warmed up in the 80s. There was some corn that got planted. Then it cooled down, and then there's some more. Really, the corn got planted in May, so we haven't gotten into too much harvest in my area yet. A lot of farmers had kind of declared the crop dead in June when we didn't get rain for extended amounts of time. Then they declared near record yields in July when we got rain again, and then now we're on the downhill roller coaster again because we missed out on some rains during grain fill. So the expectations are, I guess, for an average crop, we're looking to see what that does here in the next couple of weeks.
It definitely will be interesting to see where yields end up, especially looking at, when we think about the yield estimates that we've been seeing in crop reports as well. We're going to talk today about Channel brand VT4PRO with RNA technology. Let's focus first and talk about some of the pest pressures farmers in your areas face. Daniel, let's start with you, and then we'll just work our way west.
Yeah, like I said, I'm from that northern tier of Illinois where we have some corn on corn and some crop rotation. As I go north into Illinois, there's a lot more corn on corn acres, and as you go south, obviously there's corn on corn and some rotation. But really, the corn rootworm is our primary pest that we tend to worry about year over year. And as you look at that pest pressure over time, it's not as predictable as you would hope it would be. And so that's where I think as we look at VT4PRO, we can help farmers manage this pest a little bit differently.
Matt?
Yeah, so it's really for me all about different options. Options are always good, and you've got kind of variable pest pressure, right? So in Iowa, we have those acres that we've managed insects on over time, and then maybe longer term corn on corn, but we're still keeping those populations in check. We've seen this year a lot of second and third year corn on corn with really high pressure. All of a sudden, even though that's early in the rotation, we've also seen pressure on rotated acres, especially in my territory. It's as high as it's been probably in 10 years or more. So really kind of a struggle to combat all three of those situations, and it takes multiple traits to do that. And I think VT4PRO just gives us a lot of added flexibility to help manage pests, especially on those rotated acres.
Tyler, what about you?
Yeah, I should have mentioned this before. So cover an area in South Central Nebraska, live at Kearney. No big thrill here that we have a lot of continuous corn acres with the amount of feedlots. So not that uncommon to see even 5+ years of corn on corn. So corn rootworm is a big threat and a big pest for us year in, year out. Another one for us is western bean cutworm. So those flights can differ with the amount of moths that we're seeing once the GDU number is correct for that moth flight to occur. But that can be another very big influential pest to us in this part of the country.
For 2024, Channel's brand is offering products with Bayer's new VT4PRO with RNAi technology. What does this new trait provide for growers? Tyler, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so when we think about VT4PRO technology, we're talking about a lot of different things in one trait combination. What we're getting above ground is what we already have in our Tricepta offering, Tricepta trait offering in our corn portfolio. So really good coverage on things like western bean cutworm above ground, also multiple corn borer species. But below ground, we're also getting one mode of action from a cry protein that we already see in smart stacks, but also coupling that with our RNAi technology. So really nice coverage of above ground pests with Tricepta, and then below ground, 2 very effective modes of action against corn rootworm.
When you talk about your philosophy and process in determining which farmers in fields can benefit from this VT4PRO technology, Matt, where do you start with growers?
Yeah, so really kind of 3 areas. I won't take all of them. I'll let some of my other agronomists cover a few of these. But for me, one of the big areas of flexibility, right, is having RNAi paired with Cry3 BB1 below ground. So you're essentially kind of going from your traditional VT double pro, but giving below ground protection. So that can be used either early on in the corn on corn cycle, right? If you're maybe year 2 or year 3 of continuous corn, but in our area, it's really going to be a fit for rotated acres. So we have seen, whether it's through extended diapause or bean fields that are weedy or have volunteer corn that reach tassel and provide refuge for those northern corn rootworm adults, we have very high pressure through my 13 counties and really through most of the state in rotated acres in some places. Severe enough that in 2 years, they'll need to be traded, and we're still trying to figure out what to do with those fields that are currently beans, right? How do we need to manage those? So it's a challenge, and this gives us a really nice trade option to get good above ground protection, but really have a kind of a double pro option that gives us root protection. And that's really what I've talked the most about with my customers is, have we identified those acres? And if we have, now we have the trait that we can use in those fields.
Daniel?
Yeah, I would say for our customers, our farmers we deal with, it's really all about evaluating on a field by field basis any pressure you've had historically. And really, when you're looking at corn rootworm in the field, it's pretty easy to identify if you have some problems out there. So if you have problems in your corn on corn field, you know, we got to talk differently. If VT4PRO is right out there, it's likely not where we're going to go with that product. You know, it's more about have you been using double pro and have you been using insecticide? Well, you can use VT4PRO and get rid of the insecticide component. Or yeah, maybe you haven't wanted to use double pro because you're not comfortable with having no protection below ground, but you like some of the genetics in the double pro. You know, these VT4PROs are coming with new germplasm that have high yield potential and strong agronomics, but also offer corn rootworm protection. So maybe that's, you know, where we can use this VT4PRO on those acres.
Tyler?
Yeah, I think Daniel teed me up perfect for this. And selfishly, in my territory, a lot of the customers I work with, we're on a 2-to-1 corn to soybean rotation. So for that customer to use a double pro or a Tricepta traded product coming right off a soybean acre makes a lot of sense. Year 1, year 2, again, have some customers that are wanting to go back to that double pro or Tricepta and using an insecticide. This gives us the option of having 2 modes of action below ground. So not the most protection we offer for corn rootworm and a trait, but a really nice use for those low to moderate acres that we could see some pressure creeping in on, simply being the second year of corn in that processing or in that field that year. So if we're getting past that, to Daniel's point, if we're getting into multiple years of corn on corn, that's when we're probably going to go to that Smart Stack Pro traded option for those moderate to high risk acres for corn rootworm.
Why should farmers be excited about this product? Tyler, we'll start with you.
Yeah, for speaking selfishly for ourselves, we've been waiting for something like this because I think it gives you the flexibility to leave out that insecticide that we maybe needed in the past to feel comfortable on that second year corn acre. I love the germplasm base that we're launching it on. That looks really exciting, offering some high yield potential with, again, great agronomic support behind that. So I feel like it's going to be a broad fit for my territory as a trait, but also the germplasm base looks like a really easy fit into our portfolio at the maturities we need. So this is what we've been waiting for. I feel like it's a nice addition to offer Tricepta technology above ground. So we're getting the control from Western bean cutworm, but also, again, 2 really nice modes of action against corn rootworm with a proven cry protein and coupling the RNAi that we know in Smart Stacks Pro that we just launched.
Matt, why should growers in your area be excited about VT4PRO with RNAi technology?
Tyler did a good job of getting me excited about it there. He put a good sell on it. No, so extended diapause, right? I already talked about that, but also volunteer corn control is another thing I've talked about a little bit too, right? Is you decouple Herculex and that Cry 34-35 protein stack from this hybrid, you remove the Liberty tolerance with it as well, that glufosinate tolerance. So while volunteer corn can be tough to control using, glufosinate solely, I think it'll give us another method to help keep volunteer corn control when we go to beans. Those clethodim products always have tank mix issues with growth regulators, and if we're just using a standalone glufosinate application with the right spray parameters, it'll really provide pretty good control, or at least a boost of control when we go back to beans. So really, it's kind of a nice package. I think another thing we haven't quite talked about is new trait, new germplasm. So there's some different parents and some different genetic lines that we're going to get with this trait that we maybe haven't been able to produce commercially previously. So that's another, I think we've really seen good performance in the breeding data. As we start to take plots out, I think we're going to see that continue. The 2 hybrids I've looked at specifically in my region look like they're going to bring really large boost in yield potential. So we're excited about that as well.
Daniel?
Yeah, I won't repeat what either of those guys said because I believe both of them. And I'll talk about maybe the aspects that as an Illinois farmer, we don't have to worry about. And with VT4 Pro, we won't have to worry about that. Something like Western bean cutworm. Just having that control in your corn, not having to have concern about Western bean cutworm is good. With more cover crop acres that go out every year, protection against fall armyworm. That's something that every year I go on calls. 5 to 10 fields a year that get devastated by fall armyworm on a cover crop field. So having protection built in there is going to be beneficial to farmers. And then black cutworm. We don't deal with black cutworm that often, but just knowing that you can reduce overall risk of pest pressures on your farm and having a new trait out there with new germplasm should get you excited.
Matt, this one's for you. What separates the VT4 Pro technology from existing products?
Yeah, if you think about, compared to current Smart Stacks or Smart Stacks Pro, right, you've removed Herculex, so kind of changes up a mode of action. It changes up the herbicide tolerance as well. It's also, RNAi is is the newest mode of action we have for corn rootworm control. So it really stands out compared to anything that doesn't have that, right? This is the newest and the most effective trait that we currently have on the market, and will be, for the foreseeable future until newer traits are deployed. So really, combination of old and new technology, I think is really terrific. And like Daniel mentioned, kind of a different approach from a seed treatment perspective than Bayer's had in the past too, I think make it exciting.
When we talk about this, Deanna, did you want to talk a little bit about what maybe sets it apart from other above and below ground corn insect traits that are currently available?
Yeah, I think for me, when I look at it, it's really a simplified approach to having effective rootworm control, more effective kill long term. There's other products in the marketplace that offer some challenges in terms of efficacy, or maybe they're not as potent from a rootworm killing standpoint. So I think this VT4 Pro gives farmers a thorough option for rootworm control that they've been accustomed to, and we continue to bring out products that keep up with the changing guard that corn rootworm does.
Tyler, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'll talk since Daniel and Matt did a good job on the corn rootworm side. I'll talk on the Western bean side. I think the flexibility this offers with having to spray Western bean a lot of times with a plane, just simply not being able to get in with a ground rig on a high boy. The flexibility that it offers growers of not having to do an insecticide application at that time. So the window for effective control on Western bean cutworm from when that egg mass hatches to when they're traveling down to get to the ear itself is a very short time span. I'd say there's a lot of luck involved if you do get an effective control as well. So being able to have a trait that manages that and sometimes even alleviates the need for that insecticide application makes a grower's life easier. I know I've even worked with customers that might farm close to a town, something like that. They're going to use that Tricepta trait to help manage that, so they're not having to worry about planes flying close to a city and just not having to use that management tactic for that pest.
We also know that these products include an enhanced seed treatment package. Tyler, can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so this is going to be a really nice, effective way, especially if we're dealing with things like corn nematode. We have a fair amount of that with continuous corn acres in Nebraska. It is going to carry a dual mode of action or two mode of action corn nematicide that's going to be brand new for us this year, on top of utilizing 1250 poncho. So really nice, complete protection against everything that would go after this seed, on top of just being able to offer really nice protection on top of these seed products.
We've talked about some of the pests, but and I would assume more impactful for different parts of the region. When we talk about the pest protection with VT4 Pro technology, Daniel, what ones are you thinking about for growers, just to kind of highlight that for viewers and listeners?
Yeah, obviously corn rootworm is the #1 pest that we're looking for in VT4 Pro, but corn borer is one that it's kind of like, oh yeah, it also does against corn borer that farmers have come accustomed to also. Fall armyworm, Western bean cutworm, as Tyler has said, corn earworm. I mean, it's really all encompassing trait protection that allows farmers to not have to lose sleep at night if they've got some pest pressures in their field.
Any other thoughts there from Matt or Tyler? You guys?
No, other than, again, new technology, that RNAi, we're really excited to get into another product. I think it'll be the future of where our lineup goes, trait perspective moving forward. And, it's really, really cool that Bayer's within a few years, right? You've got it in Smart Stacks Pro, and now we have it in a second product that kind of fits different acres. So it's always to me, it's a nice utilization of that technology.
What yield performance benefits can farmers then achieve by utilizing channel seed with this new trait technology? Matt, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, we've really seen, doing yield estimates, really strong performance. Some of our newest and best germplasm is getting paired with this trait. So for us, we've got 112 and 114 day, 212-40 and 214-40, and both of them look like they're going to be some of the highest yielding below ground traded products that we'll have. Now, obviously, we've got to take the plots out and see that data, but I really think it'll give us another level of yield with that below ground protection.
Daniel?
Yeah, I think we're looking for new products with traits that help reduce risk on the farm, and these new products are going to take, I think, farmers to the next yield level. We've kind of shown over the last few years that the new 200 is 250 in Illinois, so we're trying to get past 250 or up, higher yield levels than that. So, bringing the whole farm average up is just kind of what we're trying to do with the VT4 Pro.
Tyler?
Yeah, I echo what these guys are saying. I mean, the germplasm base that this is being launched on, to echo Matt, I've looked at the 112 and 114 day product the most for my territory. The plots that I've seen it in, it's definitely risen to the top. Those are still yet to come out, but definitely looking like products that are going to sustain in our pipeline, not only for the trait, but also the next level of yield potential that they're bringing us.
Gentlemen, any final thoughts today? What do you want growers? Actually, I'm going to ask you one last question, and this is your chance to knock it out of the park. What do you want growers to know about the Channel VT4 Pro with RNA technology, and about what they should think about when it comes to their operation? We'll start east and we'll move our way west. Daniel, you're up first.
Yeah, so I'll just say what I say to a lot of farmers when I discuss traits is, we live this every day because this is our job, and we live seed every day, and farmers may or may not be as in tune, and that's fine. We've got channel seedsmen out there to help guide you through what all these traits mean. We can help you look at pest pressures on your farm and evaluate what you might need to take your operation to the next level. So that's where I'd leave it is, if you need some help, just ask. We're more than willing to help you.
Matt?
If I can click the mute button. Totally agree with what Daniel said, right? So with options comes decisions, right? Comes choices, and your channel seedsman can help you make those. As agronomists, we spend a lot of time trying to characterize not only products, but the acres in which we work, right? We all know our territories. We kind of have a finger on the pulse of where pest pressure exists. And I think that's really important with placing the right product. There's risk if you use a trait that you don't need, and there's also risk of you needing a trait and not using it, right? So weighing that is important, and that's something your agronomist and your seedsman can help you figure out.
Tyler, we'll finish up with you.
I think the big thing in this is just understanding the risk associated with where you're at, and agronomy is always going to be local, right? So having that relationship with your channel seedsman, being able to walk through with the channel seedsman, the FSR, your agronomist, we're going to be able to position these locally for you, where they fit, where they don't fit. Again, I guess my biggest reiteration with VT4 Pro is understand that we have what I would call the most comprehensive offering of rootworm traits in the industry right now. We've got everything from the moderate to low pressure, all the way to high pressure. We've got that offering for you. So feel free to visit with them locally. But again, we're very excited about the launch and what this brings in, not only below ground technology, but also above.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it, and we look forward to a successful harvest and an exciting 2024.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
I'm Megan Grebner for Brownfield.